Morning, guys. Welcome to the current affairs session, right, where I'll be discussing all the important topics that are necessary for UPSC, be it prelims or mains. We'll be discussing everything and we'll be understanding everything in a deeper manner. So, without any delay, let us start with the current affairs session. Firstly, we have this particular editorial, right, saying targeting the name of demography. It's talking about targeting in the name of demography. Basically, what is happening is government has recently set up a high-level committee, right? And this basic committee is to look into everything that is happening on migration or people coming in and what the situation in India's demography is, right? But the author says that there is something troubling with this particular high-level committee. There's something troubling with this particular high-level committee because the way it is being imagined or the way it is being portrayed towards the society or the way what are the uh, duties that are given to this particular high level committee is what is concerning what the author is saying. Okay, now what is the author saying? The author is saying that the government has set up a committee, right? And this committee is not really about solving demographic problems. Saying that it's not about solving demographic problems, right? What is it about if it's not solving the demographic problems? It's basically, firstly, it is talking about how they should be focused on illegal migration. Illegal migration is the first cause that it should be focused on, right? And it's highlighting how there is high amount of Muslim population growth. Muslim population growth. Third aspect that it's actually focusing on is what do you call creating a fear, right? It's creating a fear about demographic change. Right? And lastly, it is focusing on uh, justifying stronger actions, right? It's justifying stronger actions against the minorities. Justifying stronger actions against the minorities. These are the aspects that the high level committee is actually looking for. Firstly, it is saying that it should look at the illegal migration that is happening. Secondly, it should look at all the Muslim population that is growing. Thirdly, it should look at the creating a fear of change in demography, right? And lastly, it is looking for a stronger action against the minorities. But the author is saying that it is not all of these that we should focus on, right? The committee or everything the committee is focusing on is on the wrong aspect. We should focus on the major aspects that are actually important for India. And what is the important aspect for India? First thing that's important aspect is aging. It is not the migration, it is not the Muslim majority population, it is not the fear of change, it is not the stronger action against minorities. It is the aging population that is the problem. Right? Currently, India's demographic dividend or social capital is around 2.92, 29.2, meaning that the mean age of the population is 29.2, and that will last till nearly 2035. 2035. Yeah, we are closer to 2035 rather than 2015, right? So we should actually focus on how we should get things done and how we should focus on everything that would actually hinder India's growth rather than focusing on wrong things. Right? What are the wrong things? The wrong things are nothing but talking about illegal migration, talking about Muslim majority population. And many people think that these are the main aspects, but those are not the main aspects. What will happen in 2035 when the aging population is very high and the states have low contribution to the GDP, yeah, and the youth is not there, and the GDP is not growing, and there is highly dependent population. What if the national income is very low? What will happen? India will be in ruins. Should we be focusing on illegal migration more, or should we be focusing more on aging? Obviously, we should be focusing more on aging. That is what the main aspect is, right? The first thing that the author is saying that you should not focus on these aspects. You focus on aging more. Try to bring up solutions. Try to look at Russia. Try to look at Italy. Try to look at China. These are the countries that are actually incentivizing. And what are the problems of incentivizing the aging population? We should look at all of these rather than looking at illegal migration. Illegal migration is a cause, right? Illegal migration is a cause, but it is not the only cause. Should keep this in mind. Right? Illegal migration is not the only cause. Second aspect that the particular editorial is talking about is that while they say that there's high amount of illegal migration in all of this, by saying that all the border districts have increased population. And they're saying that all the border districts have increased population, so we all the illegal migration is happening, and mainly all of the illegal migration is happening from Bangladesh. That is what the government thinks, and that is what the high level committee is also being asked to look into, right? Saying that border states or border districts have increased population and there is high amount of Bangladeshi migration. Should look into these things is what the high level committee has been given to. Okay, but what you need to understand is that it is not only due to external migration, it is also due to internal migration that through which the districts can increase their population. What if, let's say, from Bangladesh only 10% people came, and the population in that district increased by 90%? Where did this extra 80% came? The extra 80% might have come from the India, right? They might have come from India. Internal migration is a thing, right? Many states, many people actually go from their particular district to another district so that they can get livelihood. So obviously that could be a reason. Without actually taking this reason into account, you cannot actually put this as a sole cause. You cannot say that Bangladesh is the only reason why the border districts are increasing their population. No, you cannot say that. Bangladesh is also growing. Bangladesh is also economically getting stronger. As it is getting stronger, why would people migrate from that area to this area? Right? Why are we only assuming extreme? Why are we not assuming that this might be a cause? Why are we only assuming that extreme things happen in India and everything is happening due to other countries infiltrating in India? Why? Why not our countries or our people moving from one state or one district to another district? Why can't we think this way? Right? That is the other aspect. The third aspect that the particular editorial is talking about is the majority population. Right? It's talking about Muslim majority population. What do you mean by Muslim majority population? Meaning that they're saying the fertility rate of Muslim population is higher than the rest of the population, due to which there is reduced gap, is what they're saying. But if you see, that was correct at one point. At one point, that was correct. Okay, nearly maybe 1950s or 1960s or 1970s, the Muslim fertility rate was very high. But if you actually look into the fertility rate now, it is very low. It's actually near to the Hindu population. Yeah, Muslim fertility rate is near to the Hindu fertility rate. So what the author is saying is the Muslim population or Muslim women's fertility rate in Kerala and Tamil Nadu might be far lower than fertility rate of Hindu women in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, isn't it? Because Uttar Pradesh and Bihar have highest population. When they have highest population, what does that mean? That means that they have high fertility rate. When Kerala and states like Tamil Nadu have low population and they have Muslim majority population high, what does that mean? That means that Muslim majority population has low fertility rate. Why can't people analyze this aspect? Why aren't people analyzing this? They only see that there is a population growing that grew from this person to this person. That transition from X person to Y person took over the time and over the place of years, and they have gradually shifted towards Indian laws. Right? As there are many laws being restricted, Supreme Court is coming up, and Supreme Court is saying that this particular law is against the religion, is this particular law is against the society, and it is actually cutting all of the laws that are actually harmful for the society. India is doing everything. And Supreme Court is doing everything. But why are we targeting them? There's no need for us to target anyone. Right? Should look at India as holistic rather than a singular point. Only when we look at India as a holistic manner, in a holistic manner, then we can actually bring in change. Otherwise, we'll not be able to bring in change. We will be able to tackle one aspect only. Tackling one aspect is not our goal. Making India great is our goal. Right? That is the other aspect that the particular editorial is talking about. And the fourth thing that the what do you call author is talking about is what should we focus on? Right? What should we focus on if not for the Bangladeshi migrants or Bangladeshi immigration or what do you call aging population? If not for all of these, what should we focus on? The main thing that we should focus on is The main thing that we should focus on is that uh, aging population, right? Aging population is the first thing that we should focus on. And when you focus on other aspects that the editor is talking about, where the immigration is happening and where the Muslim population is high, then what will happen? There will be targeting. The other is saying that if we do all of these, that will increase suspicion. Right? It will increase suspicion towards Muslims. That's the first thing that the author is saying. And the second thing that the author is saying is that it would lead to harsher policies. Right? It would lead to harsher policies against minorities. Harsher policies against minorities. And third thing, the author is saying that it legitimizes the fear. Right? It legitimizes the fear. Fear of what? Fear of Muslim population growing. Right? That is what the author is saying. Right? If you actually focus on all of these, if you actually bring up a high level committee based on immigration, based on Bangladeshi migration, based on Muslim population increasing, if you focus on all of these, what will happen? It will actually increase suspicion towards Muslim population. Right? Do we need that? Do we want a country where Muslims are being targeted more? And because what will happen if you target a particular community more? They'll start to retaliate. They'll say that we'll retaliate in our way. You're trying to target us. We are trying to live here. We are trying to make our living. If you're targeting us, we'll try to retaliate. What will happen? There will be a chaos. So first thing, we should not focus on targeting Muslims. Right? The second thing we should focus on is we should not bring harsher policies, because just because they are minorities and just because there is something that is happening because of them, that doesn't mean that we have to bring in harsher policies, because India is all about diversity and India is all about unity. And whenever uniformity, unity, and diversity exist together, it should not be discriminated. Whenever discrimination increases, what will happen? People will stop believing in India and they'll start moving away from India. Right? And the third aspect is should not breed fear. Right? Many people did not even think about how the population in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, by meaning that the Muslim population's fertility rate in Tamil Nadu and Kerala is lower than the Hindu fertility rate in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. Until and unless this one was pointed, people did not think about it. Right? So, giving out false information or giving out information that can disrupt people's minds is actually harmful for Indian society. That is the aspect that this particular editor is talking about. Right? We focus on aging, and we should focus on building trust among people, right? And we should focus on things that are actually matter rather than things that do not matter. Right? That is what this particular editor is talking about. Next, we are going from borderland to India's strategic resource frontier. Right? It's talking about borderland to strategic resource frontier. What are borderlands? Borderlands are nothing but lands that are actually near the border. Simple as that. Right? Lands that are near the border are nothing but borderlands. And what are the lands? Here is talking about the northeast. Right? And the countries, the states that are actually bodying the other nations or international countries are Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, and Arunachal Pradesh. These are the states that are actually borderlands. What is this editorial talking about? This editorial is talking about how we are changing our point of view from borderlands to strategic resource frontier, meaning that recently we found out that the northeastern region is highly fertile in critical minerals. Now, what are critical minerals? Critical minerals are nothing but lithium, cobalt, graphite, nickel, rare earth elements. All of these are critical elements which are very necessary for India's growth or technological growth, meaning that you can use lithium in batteries, you can use cobalt in batteries, you can use rare earth elements in technologies like what you call neodymium, which is a magnet which we can use it in motors. Right? We can use all of these elements in many areas so that India can grow. Now we have found that Northeast India has actually high amount of resources that are rich in critical minerals. So India is changing the perspective from borderland to strategic frontier front. Yeah. So what does that mean? It means that previously we used to call Northeast India as a borderland, right? An insurgent area, right? and highly sensitive area. These are the words we actually used, right? Right? Sensitive area, security concerns. These are the things that we actually used when we addressed all of these regions. Whenever we talked about Nagaland, whenever we talked about Arunachal Pradesh, whenever we talked about Mizoram and Manipur, we talked about these things. We talked about security, we talked about provision, sorry, problems or border issues, insurgency. Right? These are the things that we focused on. But now that India has found out Northeast India is actually rich in critical minerals, what is it doing? It's changing its perspective from security, borderland, insurgency, and high security to a mineral frontier. Mineral frontier, then it's talking about how it is a what do you call resource frontier, a strategic frontier. Right? It's talking about all of these. It's saying that it is a resource front, it is a strategic front, it is a what do you call very important area. It's talking about how it is an important area now. But what you need to understand is that just calling an area an important area or changing the point of view from borderland or insurgent area to a strategic front doesn't mean everything will change. For that reason, the author was talking about this state called Manipur. Now, if you actually remember Manipur, Manipur is a very highly insurgent area where high amount of violence has been happening. As the high amount of violence has been happening, what do we do? We ensure that everything is being calm. And how do we do it? India does it through violence. Right? India put the security forces there. It was very strict presidential rule. All the things were happening. And many people in Manipur were saying that please look at us, please come here, please take care of everything here. We are not able to live properly because even we are citizens of India. With being citizens of India, we are not able to live in India, is what the Manipur were saying. But no one looked at it. As long as the critical minerals came into existence. Now, what will happen if the critical minerals come into existence? They'll say that, yeah, instead of putting a border security force, we'll take the land and we'll develop that area. But what you need to understand is that developing an area is not as simple as you're saying it. Right? You cannot say that I'll just develop the area. Right? Because insurgency, all of these happened because of displacement. It's not just an area. It is where people or tribal communities or scheduled castes, all of these people live. Right? These are all scheduled areas, scheduled tribes areas. You cannot just tell them that you have to go from here because we found out recently that this area is very fertile in critical minerals. You cannot say that because it is very what do you call sensitive area. When a sensitive area like this is present, what do you have to focus on? You have to focus on how resource inclusion should happen. Resource mining should happen. Resource inclusion should happen. Should include people into the what do you call development. If you do not do all of this, what will happen? Obviously, there will be insurgency. People will retaliate. Again, there will be guerrilla warfare. Again, there will be what do you call some Maoism or some what do you call communist ideology. Right? Something will come up, and when these things will come up, what will happen? Again, violence will happen, and again, these areas will be called as insurgent areas, security concerns, right, borderlands, and again they'll be brought back. So instead of focusing on how to develop that area, focusing on how to develop sustainably is an important aspect. It is saying that Northeast India is good. Good that you have found critical minerals, which is actually helping India grow. But you should also focus on including people. As long as you include people, everything is fine. If you do not include people, that is where the problem is. Right? That is what this particular editor is talking about. Right? And third one, we're going ICMR is rewiring the health ecosystem. And it's basically talking about how what do you call ICMR? ICMR has been changing its perspective from X to Y. Right? Basically, previously it was very narrow in nature. Right? ICMR's ideology was very narrow. It was only focusing on how we should tackle things in an X manner or Y manner. No, it is actually broadening its point of view. It is actually including AI, right? It is actually including data science, AI, data science. Then you have what you call data collection, right? All of these things have been happening, and for that, it has constructed what you call this thing called the regional national institute, regional national institute of health, and health research. Yeah, right. Regional National Institute of Health Research in two regions. I guess it is one is in Dibrugarh and the other one is in Jodhpur. So these are the two regions where the national health, right, regional national institute of health research have been brought in, which will focus on not only reducing the vaccines, I mean increasing the vaccines, but it's also focusing on interconnections between various what you call dimensions. Whenever the particular organization focuses on various dimensions, that is when it is broadening its perspective. Right? As I was saying, that it is using artificial intelligence, data science, what for screening, right? For screening, for analysis, for all of these, it is using its technologies and it is increasing its ideology. When the ICMR is actually increasing ideology, it's broadening its perspective. What will happen then? That is when there is high amount of scope for what you call uh, change in the health ecosystem. Right? Only when there is broadening of perspective, that is when there is change in health ecosystem. Right? First thing is broadening, right? And the second thing is there is priority-based research. What is priority-based research? Is saying that instead of focusing only on national health research programs, it is focusing on identifying. Right? It has identified many diseases. Right? The diseases which are actually very alarming for India. Right? I mean, for example, tuberculosis is there. Then there is antimicrobial resistance. All of these are very troubling for India, and they might hinder India's health capacity. So, for the first thing that the ICMR is doing is actually doing priority-based research and broadening its perspective through understanding all of the diseases in a particular manner. Right? And third aspect is that there is obviously, as I was saying, there is role of artificial intelligence, and next there is iDrone. iDrone is another aspect that ICMR is focusing on. What is iDrone? Previously, when COVID was happening, right? When the COVID was happening, people could not go to one area to another area because COVID is very rapidly spreading. You cannot go to this area because that was a place where high amount of people affected by COVID were, and that area was actually supplying all the vaccines. So you cannot go there. You cannot sit at home because you might die because of COVID. So these kind of aspects that were troubling. So in order to tackle all of these aspects, ICMR came with iDrone. iDrone is where they are using drones to deliver all the vaccines, delivery of vaccines. It's a very good initiative, right? iDrone is a very good initiative so that it can deliver people all the vaccines which are actually harmful, right? I mean, which are to diseases which are actually harmful, right? So the fourth thing is iDrone, and the fifth thing is integration of traditional knowledge. You actually remember in COVID, during the COVID times, as the Western medicine was not working that well, many people focused towards the Indian traditional medicine, meaning that they were focused for Ayurveda, right? They focused on Unani, and many people actually survived due to these kind of traditional knowledges, right? Many people took Ayurvedic medicine and they survived. Many people took what do you call Unani medicine and they survived. If you actually see, these things are actually working. So when these kind of things are actually working, you cannot ignore them. You focus on them more. So creating a genetic database, right, or a DNA database of all the traditional knowledge and integrating the traditional knowledge with the Western medicine is what the ICMR is doing, and that is actually a good step. Right? It would actually increase India's susceptibility. I mean, reduces the susceptibility to many diseases because it's integrating traditional knowledge plus Western knowledge. It's actually a good thing, right? That is what this particular editorial is talking about, how ICMR has been broadening its perspective from a narrow to a broader reason, right? So that is all about today's current affairs. Hope you guys have learned a lot. See you guys in the next class.